One. We should be live now, Shot Time. Big ups.
I awoke with a song in my heart.
Pink Terror, Part 2.
A song only God could have put there.
Cue the joint when you're ready.
Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
This is personal educational use. Subscribe, like, hit that notification bell so you'll be notified.
Entering upon this course of instruction, each of you should, so far as possible, lay aside for the time being all previous theories and beliefs. By so doing, you will be saved the trouble of trying all the way through the show to put, quote, new wine into old wineskins, end quote. Luke chapter 5, verse 37. If there's anything as we proceed which you don't understand or agree with, just let it lie passively in your mind until you have enjoyed the entire show. For many statements that would at first arouse antagonism and discussion will be clear and easily accepted a little farther on. After the show is over, if you wish to return to your old beliefs and ways of living, you are at perfect liberty to do so. But for the time being, be willing to become as a little child, for said the Master in spiritual things, quote, except ye become as little children, ye shall in no wise enter into the kingdom of heaven, end quote. Matthew chapter 18, verse 3. If at times there seems to be repetition, please remember, the Self Luv Show is a lesson, not a lecture.
What's the point of life? Lord, why do we do it? And what's the point of strife? Pimps and whores see right through it. They see fluid. All Johns ain't saints, and St. John knew it. Tricks are preachers, 12 disciples, and so-called druids. See, solid. Get married and have shorties after college. So what's the point? Vibrate love, go share knowledge. Silence is violence. Stupid is as stupid does. Join the Give Back Gang Alliance. Gang, gang.
And even in this instance, if I could be a service to a 9-year-old girl or a 19-year-old woman or girl who wants to be a woman, is to really remember that self-love is the best way that you can receive love from anybody else, because it's coming from you. A lot of times we forget that. We look externally for this love. We look externally for this feeling of validation and adoration and approval, and it has to come from within.
this is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Yeah, buddy. Chi-Town kids in the building. Yes, sir. Self Luv Vision. Oh, glory. Oh, glory. We're going to unpack some stuff today. Chi-Town kids are back in the building. What down. Welcome to Chi-Town's very own The Self Luv Show. We got two mottos. Motto number one, on earth as it is in heaven. Bing! All praise due to the ancestors. I miss you, Mama Sky. Motto number two, as above, so below. Right now, we can be found Malcolm exclusively right here on this ain't that network. And as these Gen Zs and millennials like to do with the acronyms, TATN. Yeah? Yes, sir. TATN. This ain't that network. This your co-host 9 Millie, also known as Self. What down, Chi-Town, what down. Repeat after he. I am greater than my excuse. I am greater than my excuse. One more again for the charm. I am greater than my excuse. Today is hump day. So we over the hump. You heard me? It's Wednesday, June 29, 8:05 Central Standard in the post meridian. And we could be any place in this magnanimous universe. And thankfully, we all Scooter chose to be right here together. Here together. What down, brother Wordsmith? What you manifesting today, sir?
Love, 9. You know me. Gotta kick that love. What you manifest?
Absolutely. That self-love, bro. That universal love. Pure, magnanimous, unfiltered, often harsh, some say tough. But at the end of the day, I can assure you, G, it's love. I'm just a kid from Chicago.
No doubt.
Yes, sir. So what's been going on in your neck of the shot, kid?
Guess they had some primary elections or something yesterday. And the Republican gubernatorial candidate has decided that he doesn't need to show his taxes.
He doesn't.
Obviously.
Yeah, man, it's just something they start doing, and hey, man, just if you want to show your taxes, God bless you. There's no law that says I gotta show my taxes and how I get down, and if the people still want to vote for me without me showing my taxes, God bless them.
God bless them.
It's not a rule.
No, but they made an assumption that everybody's gonna do it.
Right. Right.
Everybody's
like they did with that damn jab.
Oh, yeah, well.
And wearing masks. I mean, they made an assumption that everyone's gonna do it.
They did.
Yeah. But it wasn't a law, it was mandates and, things of this nature, but it was never any laws written.
No.
Yeah. Tyranny. But no, I hear you. I mean, he's following suit with Donald Trump, but
yeah.
Again,
he didn't
what's
have
the
to
big
show
deal?
it.
Right. What's the big deal anyway? Even when these Democrats or whatever show their taxes, is it really are the books cooked? Is it really? You understand what I'm saying, man? Like,
yes.
Right.
I completely get it. That's why I laughed when I said it in the first place.
And me personally, I've never seen any of their tax reports. I mean, I don't remember them saying, here's Barack Obama's tax report and putting it in the newspaper so I can review it and go over the line items and sit down with my accountant and say, does anything look funny? No, I'm serious. They just say he turned in his tax papers today. You know what I mean?
I hear you. It's big farce, I'm sure, just like all those elites that get caught up falsifying their jab papers.
And you knew they were going to be doing that. I called the fake jab papers before they even mandated jabs.
Yeah.
You remember it was early on the Self Luv Show with the Corona show. I was like, yeah, you can get those fake jab papers here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They sure did.
Yeah. I'm just saying, if I can think like that, those elites who sit around all day, they don't have to, hustle, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They sit around all day and shit pops up in their head.
CEO of one of those jabberoni made companies
said he don't trust it.
Yeah.
Again, that's his right.
It is.
His privilege.
It is.
You know what I mean? To make those decisions if that's a decision he wants to make.
It's an experimental thing. So, hey, I see where how he feels about that.
Technically, everything's experimental, and I mean, even when it's not, they'll come back and say, oh, there's a recall, or, oh, we made a mistake. Oh, we shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, engineering problem here.
Yeah, I mean, God made us, or the creator, whatever you want to call it. We're here, It's probably an experiment. Been saying that since 4th grade. So I was in the science fair at Ray School. I'm like, this whole thing is a science fair project. There's some smart kid up there. You know what I mean? Yeah, this whole thing is a science fair project. But hey, what do I know? All right, but what to expect today, Brody? We got the Self Luv Show quote of the day. And then our MGD vid, that's more growth and development. More growth and development. It's less than 1 minute. It's our platform. It's what we stand upon. It's the foundation. Of course, we have a tattoo tyranny video lined up for you. It's about 2 minutes or so. Self-love and I'll unpack that. And we'll vote whether or not it's tyrannical or not. And of course, we have our weekly dome teaser. Some may refer to it as a riddle. Self-love, I'd say 95 times out of 100 tends to solve these. Sometimes our smart chat comes up with it. Then, of course, we got Pink Terror out yet. That's our topic. Pink Terror. We're doing Memphis. We were going to do include New Orleans and Opelousas, if I'm saying that right. We were going to include them into this segment, but just way too much information and couldn't combine them, and it'd be doing the ancestors a disservice. So we'll take our time and we'll do it one step at a time. So tonight it's Memphis, May 1866. Then, of course, we got our next week's sneak peek. Next week's sneak peek. And then, of course, my personal favorite part of the whole shebang. And that's this brother to my right, Wordsmith's final words. Where he gives us a poetical, off the rip, off the top of the dome, summary, or summation, I should say, of the topic du jour. Fantastic work of art that he and his ancestors bless us with week after week. Enough of my yapping. I'm gonna announcements first. Wait a minute, am I doing this right? Yeah, announcements. You got any announcements, Self?
Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell, as always.
Facts. So, yeah, and my announcement is Juice Lane Maxwell got 20, and your boy Arkell's got a 30 ball, huh?
Whoa.
Yeah. And
I'm
Juice
pretty
Lane,
much unplugged, and I ain't,
yeah,
wow.
they slapped Kells with a 30 ball, and Juice Lane Maxwell, that's the,
Right. And she should have,
yeah, it was hundreds of girls that she allegedly.
and why can't we see that?
Exactly.
Why can't we see that case? Why wasn't it on TV?
Exactly.
Johnny Depp on TV. Who cares about that?
Yeah. Yeah, they're real good. They're real good with the subliminals. They're real, and they'll hit you over the head with all types of other stuff with us. You know what I mean? When the billionaires are going to trial.
Okay, we're gonna have to do information. What's that called? Getting the information from them. Dang, what's it called?
Research?
No, it's information. When you want to get something that they've got kind of classified or hidden.
Oh, Freedom of Information Act.
Yes, there we go. Right there.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
That
Absolutely.
That part. Yes.
Absolutely. Juice Lane. But all right. That's all I had in ways of announcements. Didn't want to say too much more than that. You guys like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, as Self Love just said. And tonight, if we got any historians or maybe some of your ancestors were part of the Memphis, they call it all these things a riot. And I don't understand.
Yeah, well,
I don't understand. They like to say that. And they like to say that. And
it's his story. That's why, because that's his story, and he's sticking to it.
True. So these massacres, these acts of terror. Yeah.
Yes.
If you have any ancestors, any firsthand knowledge, that on either side of the massacre, maybe you're pink out there, maybe you're white, and you got some pink family members out there, and they was out there smiling and while the bodies are burning on the trees, taking selfies in front of them. Maybe they were doing that. I mean, we want to hear from you. If you're from the great city of Memphis, let us know. Even if you're just from Memphis, Tennessee, let us know. But enough of my yapping. I'm going to turn this over to this brother to my right so he can handle his business out there.
Welcome, welcome. As we said, we're doing Pink Terror. Memphis, May. I want to thank y'all for coming, as always, and us without y'all. I greatly appreciate you more than you know. As always, we have a very important video, as Nine mentioned, the More Growth and Development platform that we're building the Self Love Nation off of. But before that, we have the Self Love Show quote of the day. Millions of tears have fallen for Black sons, brothers, lovers, and friends whose assailants took or maimed their lives and then simply went on their way. Millions of tears have fallen for Black sons, brothers, lovers, and friends whose assailants took or maimed their lives and simply went on their way. And that is from an unknown author. Check it out. I'll be right back at you. Silverback More Growth and Development Platform. Number 1, repair our nation via reparations. We demand our silver back. Number 2, to connect our breadwinners with our activists. And 3, show an accurate depiction of African American Chi-Town. 4, to shine a light on positive influences. 5, heal our community one person at a time. 6, to provide an unfiltered platform for our influencers. 7, recycle the Black dollar. 8, to provide mentors for the mentorless. 9, close the gap between us and our pink kinsmen.
Get that gap closed. Let's get that financial gap closed. And self-love, number 10.
Protect our women and children by any and all means necessary.
Facts. And you guys, last show on Wednesday, give a big ups to Dr. Law and bigger ups to Cannon. They both came through with a fantastic show. Dr. Law had some internet issues because he was somewhere being stealthy in the world. Wouldn't tell us where he was, but wherever they were, they didn't have internet, apparently.
Not good internet, anyway.
Yeah. So I'm assuming he might have been in Africa or some third world, shithole country. I don't know if can we say shithole country?
Yeah. I don't know if we should. And, they probably allow that.
Of course they will. You know what I mean? Look what I got on my head. You know what I'm saying? Freedom of speech. All right. But at any rate, some say America's a shit old country, so it's all relative. All right. So yeah. Oh yeah, we didn't even mention the Supreme Court decision. We did a whole show on Roe v. Wade, pretty much, didn't we?
Yeah. And man, wow.
Well, the colored is he the Chief Justice? Because the colored seems to be getting all the blame for everything. As though if he had voted differently, it was like 6-3. Well,
I mean, hey, did you see what he said after that?
Yeah, let's change. What did he say? He wanted to reverse something else.
Yeah, no more multiracial marriage, interracial marriage. And he's in one.
No, he didn't say it. Where are you getting your news? He said homosexual marriage.
Well.
Yeah, that's what he said. He didn't say interracial.
I got it.
Yeah, you look that up. I don't think he would have said that. He said homosexuals, the same gender. But yeah, that's what he said. He said he wants to get that reversed. But I'm just saying, though, he go ahead and put the brother out there and let him, the so-called brother, let him take all of the bullets. That vote was 6-3.
He used to never say anything, so him saying something is different.
Well, he's probably getting along in the crawl out there. I think he's got dementia, so they run him out there. So it seems like. But, okay, it was 6-3. So if he had not voted that way, that's 5-4. He's not Chief Justice. And a woman, a female, with a whole uterus, voted to reverse Roe versus Wade. But yet everybody's just talking about this guy. I find that a bit strange. You've got people on the internet calling them the N-word, talking about they're not racist.
Yeah, I saw a lot of that too. That was crazy.
Right. I'm just saying. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve any less blame, but I don't see where he should be getting more blame.
Well, wherever we are, even if it's blackface,
yeah,
we're gonna get the blunt of the blame.
Yeah, that's what we're there for. The fall guy. He's there to be the fall guy. But yeah, I don't know. We might have to revisit that topic, Self. It's gotten heated up. We talked about it on that show too. We sure did.
We sure did.
Yeah. Now you got all these Karens. They don't feel patriotic anymore. They say, but yet those coloreds better stand up for that national anthem. They better stand up.
Oh boy.
How can you not like your country? Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Go out there and get 5 jobs.
Like they ever did.
Correct. But different topic. But just, we hadn't commented on it. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up. The topic today is Pink Terror. We're covering Memphis, Tennessee. The massacre occurred in May of 1866. That's what we're going to be unpacking here today. So, Self Love, did you see the video? Karens can get it too.
Don't think so.
Big ups to Inside Edition. Big ups. Yeah, we're going to unpack this. Tyranny.
She's a mom accused of driving under the influence and charged with felony child neglect because she had her young son in the car. But it turns out she wasn't drunk.
Put your hands behind your back. What? You're under arrest for DUI. What?
It's the moment a nurse is arrested for DUI, yet she's completely sober.
My life was upended because of the police.
Single mom Katie Slayton was also charged with felony child neglect because her son was in the car. Whoa. He was actually placed in foster care for 9 weeks.
Whoa. It was the worst pain I think I've ever experienced in my life. It was like a part of me was missing.
Katie Slayton's nightmare began when she picked up her son from daycare in Franklin, Tennessee. A daycare worker called cops to say her behavior seemed erratic. Before she drove away, police came and gave her a field sobriety test.
Follow my finger with your eyes only.
Which she failed miserably.
16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Okay. We're going to stop you because you're going to fall down, okay?
The police
she probably just worked 14 hours.
Uncoordinated behavior and slurred speech. But Katie says she was simply exhausted by grueling 12-hour shifts in her hospital's COVID ward.
shift.
It turned out she had also taken her regular prescription dose of Adderall for attention deficit disorder, which may explain some of her reaction.
It dawned on me, like, oh my God, if I don't pass this sobriety test, I may not be taking my son home. Once I realized that, I started shaking.
It took 6 months for a blood test to come back negative for alcohol. The charges were dropped. How can a field sobriety test go so wrong?
There could be many reasons why someone fails a quote unquote sobriety test, meaning, the various things that you're asked to do while out on the street. 1, you might be a little tired. 2, you might not be very coordinated regardless of whether you're taking drugs or not.
I knew I hadn't done well on the field test, but I really thought that they would be able to tell the difference between someone who was nervous or somebody who's tired and somebody who's actually impaired. You're under arrest for DUI. What?
Police tell us they reviewed the footage and determined the officers made the correct call. They also point out a judge determined there was probable cause for the arrest.
Yeah, but not no 9 weeks child and.
They're all in cahoots. Yeah,
it's a racket.
And I guess it's under the influence, but I guess they're not saying driving drunk necessarily. But I mean, so somebody's the non-pro, the daycare girl can call it in and say, yeah, this person shouldn't be driving.
That's
and
crazy.
that's enough probable cause for you to show up there. You didn't see this person swerving or driving erratically. That's enough for the police to come up there and give this lady a sobriety test and take her baby away. Can't even say.
And it wasn't even a breathalyzer or anything of the such. They didn't say nothing about that.
No.
And how long did it say for? Did it say 6 months for a blood test?
Yeah, they knew she wasn't drunk, but they probably figured it was pills. Or, cocaine.
I'm traumatized.
And the baby, right, 9 weeks. And she had nobody else that could have stepped in there?
Yeah, I think they weren't letting her or her family do anything with that part. Because
that don't even seem right. They got to be able to let a grandparent, a brother or somebody come and say, hey, I'm going to be the foster parent until this is all worked out.
That's crazy, man.
Right? I mean, I'm assuming she didn't have somebody. And then, like you said, 6 months for the results to come back?
For a blood test. Now, that's ridiculous.
When you've got somebody's child.
Yes. That's tyranny. I mean, that's all.
Self, I was on the fence on it until the cops and the police union, we looked it over and they did nothing wrong.
I mean, it's too much. Like, they might have brought her in, but they were supposed to get all of that stuff tested out. And like you said, the child wasn't supposed to go right in no foster care and all of that, bro.
Right. It's got to be, hey, look, is there somebody we can call to come get the baby? But they got so used to doing that to the coloreds, the everyday Hispanics, and, your dredges of society. You know what I mean? That now they're pulling it. They're pulling itself. Those cops are. You see, she said, I thought they would be able to tell the difference. We're giving the police too much credit, like the way you say I give people too much credit. And those Karens give the police way too much credit. They think those cops know stuff.
They think they know stuff. That's why they get in everybody's business. That's what the problem is.
It's a case of the chickens coming home to roost, but I'm going to agree and say tyranny out there.
It's, tyranny.
That's something. I wonder how the piece of shit feels at the daycare center.
She probably don't have any issues. Sleeps well.
She did what she was supposed to do. She still got a job. Would you have pulled your child out of that school self and maybe even filed a lawsuit?
Well, ain't no way my child would be in that school. He was in foster care for 9 weeks. There's no way he's going back there. If I went back there, it might be some violence. You know what I mean? So I'd have to stay away from there as well.
Oh, man, I'd hire somebody to be out there every day just heckling their ass. Piece of shit. You know what I mean? I'd be paying them. Look, I'd find somebody, some homeless person or something. $20. Tell them you don't know me. You just caught the news story and you just feel real bad. You know what I mean? And heckle the crap out of them from the public property. Stand on the sidewalk and tell all the parents as they're coming in, they're going to call the cops on you after you work a 13-hour COVID shift. You know what I mean?
$20 a day.
$20 a day. Hold pictures of the baby. You know what I mean? Because foster care, we know how that could go, Self. This kid could be traumatized for life.
It could be done.
Man, ain't no telling what happened. You're not getting food tonight. Get over there in that corner and shut up. Right.
Yeah, it's a lot of
weird
unfortunate
stuff.
Things. Yeah. Unfortunate.
Yeah.
And then things happen to children in foster care.
Yes. A lot of times they're in their house with other foster kids, and those foster kids ain't all wrapped tight, all of them, and some of them, they be abusing the younger. Yeah. Yes, yes. All right, but yeah, all right. We agree. That's tyranny. And for y'all who don't know, we are gonna get into it. It's coming up. Pink Terror out there. Pink Massacre. We're covering the massacre of Memphis, Tennessee, which occurred in May of 1866. Got great information coming up. Like, share, subscribe.
Hit the bell, share far and wide.
Yeah. All right, so we always talk about this person's rolling over in their grave, or they can write that on my epitaph. Well, we got some tombstone poetry here on how to move or not to move. Big ups to Inside Edition. They got a great variety of stories, kind of like the Self Luv Show. We get a great variety. Yeah.
Here lies Stephen Owens in a cemetery in Polk County, Iowa. For the world, a final not-so-hidden message, while his tombstone reads,
"Forever in our hearts, until we meet again, cherish memories known as our son, brother, father, papa, uncle, friend, and cousin."
The first letter of each phrase on the stone ends up spelling out F off, a phrase I can't say here, one Owens' family says he often said in jest.
It was definitely his term of endearment. If he didn't like you, he didn't speak to you. It's just who he was.
You easily riled up.
Yeah.
And, it was always kind of a goal of some sort to get him to tell you to.
It's something his family did as a harmless way to remember him. But cemetery staff have never been wild about it, saying profanity has no place where loved ones are laid to rest for eternity. The family hopes they don't have to get rid of the gravestone. And while some may find it offensive, the family says that was not their intention, and they hope others can find humor in it.
No one's forcing anyone to come out and look at it. That's a choice that you make. We didn't do it to offend anyone, to make anyone mad, to hurt anyone's feelings. We did it because it was our father and we love him, and that's the way we remember him.
With that message, carrying on his father's legacy. For Inside Edition Digital, I'm Stephanie Officer.
Hey.
They got the whole meals bill right there on his epitaph.
Yeah. As a major proponent of the meals bill, this is how to move.
All right, I'm going to agree with you, but with a caveat. If I say I want this on my epitaph, and everybody knows that I'm saying I want this on my epitaph, then fine. But don't take it upon yourself, because there's always been a family undertone or a family joke that this. Do you understand what I'm saying? You might have a friend who always says "suck his Peter." That doesn't necessarily mean he wants it on his tombstone. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
I feel you, but I think he's good with it.
Hey, you know what he's saying in that?
It was subliminal. It wasn't even
true.
Right.
If they wouldn't have talked about it, nobody would have known.
Right, and you had to really look at that to know that.
No, you're right, and like the kid said, if you're over there reading it, and he's probably in the grave. Like, if you don't like it, what? F
exactly
off.
What it says, right?
All right, so I'm gonna say yeah, why not? I mean, and then all right, let's just say if you're part of the drill movement, all right, okay, and somebody whacked you, and then now they want to come over there and urinate on your now they want to urinate on your tombstone. You got it right there, huh, Self? Right there. Yeah. I'd have F off and die. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna get cremated. I don't think I even want one of those things out there.
Yeah, that's what most people close to me say. I say, I don't want the audience bombing. Listen, I got to be able to write this up at a trust. You know what I mean? Get me into a burlap sack. Get me into the hole within 24 hours out there. You know what I mean? I mean, they can freeze me, put me in the refrigerator so the coroner can do the autopsy, cause of death or whatever, but I'm cold, I'm frozen. But right after that, as soon as you pull me out of there, no need to take me over to the crematorium, to the undertaker so he can start doing all this and that and the third. No, put me in a burlap sack.
I think that might be illegal out there. I have to check that.
Yeah, we have to check that, because that's probably one of them laws, like you got to file your taxes.
Yeah,
That's probably
yeah,
one of them
well,
that they just been getting away with.
color
Not that
of
you
law.
got to file them, but you got to. Yeah.
It's the color of law. It's not actually law.
Yeah, it's always been done this way. It's been done this way ever since 1864. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I'm just wondering what would be the result if a lot of people wanted to get a burlap sack and in the ground. I think that I don't think it's going to be good for the cemetery.
Why not? You're 6 feet under.
Yeah.
Nobody can smell that. If that's,
if that's fact, I don't know that that's fact.
Yeah, nobody can smell that. That's what. That's the whole.
The casket too is supposed to be sealed. So.
Oh yeah, I said nothing about a casket. You can take that casket money and give and pay for. You can pay whatever you want. Yeah, I don't need the 8 stacks, 9, 12 stacks, whatever. Now you could put me in the cheapest casket if it makes everybody feel better. But no, I'm talking what do you call biodegradable, burlap type of sack. It's got to be biodegradable. You know what I mean? Worms crawl in, worms crawl out, in your stomach and out your mouth, out. And I go back into nature. The way every other thing should go back into nature, out there, without all the chemicals in there, out there. You know what I'm saying? And just that would be my idea. The 7 stacks you was gonna spend on the thing, on the casket and all that. Throw a party. Sit around and smoke it up or whatever you want to do. Have a fuck off party or something.
Like I said, yep, just cremated, burn it up.
And then what are you gonna do with the ashes?
I don't think I'm gonna care at that point. I'll be transcended, and and if my family wants the ashes, they can,
Yeah.
Or
the
maybe
remains. The remains. That's what they say.
Yeah. Okay. The remains. My bad.
Yeah. Well, I said ashes, so yeah. All right. Well, yeah. All right, but we added a segment here, so I don't know if you got to refresh your demo. And you guys, we normally don't have 3 segments, but I just couldn't take this one laying down.
Hold on.
Yeah, no worry. You remember we had Kangaroo Jack.
Okay, that's what it is. Then it's good. It's there.
Yeah, remember we had Kangaroo Jack, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well,
let's roll.
Yeah, let's let it roll. Big ups to Inside Edition.
Wow.
Oh, well done.
It's like you're trying to commit suicide.
Something ain't right.
He breathing that hard because he was.
Yeah.
He's cold.
All right, guys, what about
and this dude's holding and all that too.
Oh, he's thinking ya.
Yeah, it wasn't enough backstory on that, but apparently the kangaroo got stuck in that water, and they helped it out. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it was running from a predator or something, and couldn't get out. Didn't look like he was trying to get out
at all.
But he had those little arms.
He might have he might have been in there long enough where he was done.
Right. He had already tried. Yeah. And you see, it looked like his body was, what do you call that when you're getting cold out there and you hypothermia?
Rigor mortis. Yeah,
hypothermia. Yeah,
almost rigor mortis. That was, they were lifting him up. He was, then he looked like he wanted to spill on the dude at first or something. He turned around like.
If he did, he thought he was doing it. He was so cold.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, we got some more kangaroo stories coming. I just thought I'd throw that on there. Yeah, the algorithm. yeah. Coon kangaroo. Yeah, the algorithm. Yeah, big ups. The algorithm now thinks I love kangaroos. So,
Charlie Newman in the chat.
Big ups.
As far as I know, you do not need a casket. It does not tell you what the casket can be made of either.
See?
Some cemeteries used to require a vault, but I do not know if that's some type of law. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And you can't force me to put chemicals in my body when I'm alive, and you shouldn't be able to force me to put chemicals in my body when I'm gone. You know what I mean? Even if I want to state that this is for religious purposes, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say that they, put cement vaults or whatever down in the ground, whatever, but not in the country.
That's what I'm saying.
And I dug a grave, so.
That's the thing. If you didn't have a cold place to hold the body, you had to immediately have the services, and have that hole dug, like you said, and get that body under there as the decomposition starts and the rigor mortis sets in. You want to have that body in that hole before all that starts and covered up with that dirt out there. That's all I'm saying. The natural method. You know what I mean? Because I've seen too many cases where they thought this person was dead. And then the person, I'm not making this up, wakes up days later. Yeah, they got bit by something or
wake up at the cemetery.
Yes.
In countries where they did. If they had embalmed them and all, it'd have been over with.
Exactly. And now you wonder how many people got embalmed that would have possibly woke up. You know what I mean? At least one. At least one. You cannot tell me that it's not at least one in the history of mankind.
Fact.
You got some more in there?
It is illegal to spread your ashes in the lake. Charlie.
Is that the water reclamation? You know how many blunts I smoked out there, brother? No. All right. Let's go ahead.
That's hilarious.
I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to the dome teaser. Brother Norman, let's see if you can solve the riddle. Here we go. Before Mount Everest was discovered, what was the highest mountain in the world?
Oh, I heard this before.
Before Mount Everest was discovered, what was the highest mountain in the world? How do you hear all these riddles before? Where do you hear riddles, Self? You keep saying, I heard this before. I mean, I used to like the Riddler, though. He was my favorite. He was my favorite character on Batman.
I think my uncle
used to give you the brain teasers. Uncle
Joe?
No,
not to me. Yeah, my uncle and my great grandfather, they talking to each other. And I'd be around. I didn't even realize it.
And they'd be throwing riddles back and forth
at
each other, and you was just absorbing it.
Yep.
All right. So if anybody can solve that riddle, just type the key into the chat. And but enough of the appetizers out there, self-love.
Let's quench the self-love nation's thirst.
And self-love has typed the correct key into our personal chat here. Yeah, but you've heard these riddles and you remember them, though. I've heard riddles, I heard that before, but I just can't think of the answer.
There's been a few that I couldn't think of, and then I remembered. I was like, damn, I heard that, and I was like, oh, I don't know what it is, though.
Yeah.
But this one is, can't forget this one.
All right, so let's go ahead. I think there's a promo, and then we're gonna jump into some serious topic here tonight. Big ups to the ancestors. B1. Reparations.
sure you're going to enjoy what they do. Ladies and gentlemen, meet the Blackstone Rangers.
So, all right, so we did our riddle, and I did have a show in mind for 629. It was a great one, but I can't think of it. The question was, who were the antagonists? But we'll break it down. So you had these, and this, remember, was that movie with the 5 points? What was that movie? Gangs of New York, I think.
Yep.
This was the same time period, and they were depicting a lot of that.
TBA
with the chef and all that. All those guys were racist people. They would have put you up in a tree. And you watch those movies and glorify it. And you see Gangs in New York. I don't think it was Gangs in New York. Was that it?
Yeah.
Yeah. All those characters depicted in there would have attempted to put you and your kids and your family right up in a tree, people. They like to glorify their gangs and stuff in their movies, don't they? Yeah.
They like to make big parks out of whole towns.
Yeah. Yes. So it was these guys. So you had the gangs, you had the volunteer fire department, which Self and I have discovered were just gangs. But we'll let you know, and y'all know how we get down. We'll get a promo video out accordingly. And most of them were Irish immigrants and German immigrants. These were the antagonists in Manhattan. They were dirt poor. They were uneducated. And they were thirsty. And they could not stand the dignity of our culture. And so that was their race. Now, part of their issue was when the draft was enacted, there was a draft lottery. There was 2 groups of men who were excluded from the draft. You got any idea who they were, Self? Two groups of men who were excluded from the draft.
Black people and rich white people.
Facts. The blacks were excluded because we were not considered citizens. But I say it's a bit further than that because of racism.
Yes.
The whites in the North couldn't palate black men slaughtering what?
White men.
Yes. But yes, that was it. It was because we weren't citizens where it was a technical answer to that question.
Probably weren't considered human.
We weren't
considered 3/5 of a person, and that's probably where we stood.
We weren't, and I'm glad you brought that up. And that'll be for next Wednesday, right here on the Self Luv Show.
Hey, bros, what's going on? This is Cotton. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Subscribing makes you feel good. Give it just a little time.
Do you still have them?
Got mine.
All right, let's get it in. Let's get it in, y'all. Pink Terror, man. Pink Terror. All right, so you guys, while we do this series, this is part 2, and the series is going to go on. You know, a lot of us, we know about Black Wall Street. We know about the Chicago fire. They'll tell us all about that in school, in your local school, you know, and I just wonder, like, if the Memphis kids were learning this in their Memphis schools about what we're going to talk about tonight. So certain random acts of history are discussed or taught. And then some is just not even taught anymore or even really discussed, like at your kitchen table, Thanksgiving. Yeah. I talk about my people too. But man, we're real quick to say the kids won't listen. You know what I mean? You sit them down and you make them listen. You understand what I'm saying? You wash their mouth out with soap.
They'll listen. And, a lot of stuff gets swept under the rug and just get pushed away. So we got to teach our children what they need to know. We can't depend on the school.
Correct.
At all.
And we can't take the approach, I'm going to protect my children from this history, because if they don't know the history, it's liable to repeat itself. So a lot of times we want to protect our children, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Don't tell them about the boogeyman. Don't. Right.
It's cyclical, and you know they need to know.
Damn right they do.
Period. And you know, there's a age that's probably appropriate. I don't know. It's probably different with each child where you know, but it needs to be still while they're a child that they need to have some understanding of what's.
You gave me an idea. So if we can do a children's book series on the massacres. You know what I mean? Maybe make it out of, you know what I mean? So it ain't so, when they're younger, it could be dogs and cats. Why the cat's killing all the dogs? You know what I mean? Right.
Make it like Roots.
Yeah. And then, as they get older, the cats were really black people. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. All right, but here we go. Because, we have to tell the stories. All right, here we go, though. So the reason we do this, though, is we hear Self Love and I, we hear a lot. Why don't blacks? Why haven't we? You get a lot of immigrants come over here, and white folks who are immigrants normally, a lot of them, or they've been here. They'll say, why don't the blacks pull themselves up by the bootstraps and build their own communities like all the other immigrants do when they get to this country? Yeah, well, we're gonna this series is showing you what exactly happens if you get too big for your britches out there. Start doing too well out there, what could happen? What has historically happened, I should say. All right. And then also, quite frankly, we want to identify the true and the original terrorists on this planet and in America. That's, quite frankly, why we're running this, and to pay homage to our ancestors.
Facts.
We paid the ultimate price. So, but Self Love. Now, had you ever known about the Memphis massacre?
No.
Yeah, me neither. To be honest,
I mean, as of late, I've been seeing a lot of stuff because of 1919, 1920, and through theirs was very rough. So I did kind of look to see, but
how much of this has been going on,
yeah,
right?
And when it started, but I paid no attention to it though. I just saw dates and all of that.
Yeah,
really,
but no, I'm in agreement though. For me, it was the same way. I hadn't known anything about it.
Yeah,
and and it's just weird. Okay, all right. So the massacre took place. It was May 1st through May 3rd, and it consisted of rape. It consisted of pillaging.
Facts.
It consisted of arson.
Whole lot.
And what's that?
Whole lot of arson.
Yeah, lots of arson. You got a lot of power maniacs and child perverts out there. They join the posse. You might be out there for some political agenda, and then they're gonna say, "Let's grab the women and rape them." Like, wait, what? we're not here for that. You know what I mean? But they got their own agenda going on, and you got to be careful out there if you're gonna join the posse. Now, why were freedmen in Memphis? So we have to get a context of when this happened. We're talking 1851. No, I'm sorry, 1866. So why do you imagine freedmen were in Memphis, Tennessee in the first place?
Well, okay. 1865 was the Emancipation Proclamation. And there were like plenty of melanated people that were free and able to move around. Call them freedmen, but they were considered white to the census or whatever. You know what I mean? There was
some of them had been granted freedom. Some of them were never slaves. Some of them had bought their freedom. But go ahead.
Yeah. And they weren't citizens, what have you, but they were still, people still shake them down like they shake us down, talking about your papers and shit like that. But there's a lot of people that were not like slaves, you know what I mean? And it's unknown. Most people think that like all of the people that was free was so-called white, but it's just not the case. You know, they have been trying to bring in white people so they could try to even up the numbers, because it was way more melanated than anybody white, so-called white anyway.
All right. Yeah. So now, just to give you guys some background, the cotton trade collapsed in the first year of the war. And, you know, and that was a war to, it was about state laws, and it was also about Lincoln. His motivation for that war was that the white trash, for lack of a better term, the poor white people at that time, they couldn't make it. There was no place for them because the slaves were getting all the work. And so that's basically what that fight was about, to make things easier on your everyday trailer trash. Or, you know, they lived in shanties, no shoes, and things like that, more so than freeing black people. That all being said, the cotton trade collapsed in the first year of the war, precipitating economic problems in West Tennessee. After the capture of Memphis by Union forces in 1862 and occupation of the state, Memphis became a center for contraband camps and a haven for refugee slaves seeking protection from former masters. So, according to this history, you know, the Union, the Northerners, the Yankees, took over Tennessee, took over Memphis, and then took over their base camp, their army base camp, and then used that as a haven for not runaway slaves, for recently freed slaves, and provided quote unquote protection from their former quote end quote masters. So that's according to this history.
Yeah, that sounds a little shady. Shaky on its words.
Well, yeah. I mean, it seems plausible, though, that if Tennessee was a slave state, I guess there would have already been slaves there.
It's a fact, I just don't, you know, it sounds too nice and neat.
Yeah. All right. But they did have a town there, as we were doing a show on the massacre of this place.
Yeah.
Where these people lived.
Yeah.
You know, we always had to live somewhere.
No
just
doubt.
like today. All right. But now, what do you suppose the climate was like during these times, so?
Very hostile. I mean, for something to happen and like the mayor to tell, get all the white men together, they're gonna riot, they're uprising, and then, you know, tell them to shoot everybody and kill them is like pretty extreme. So it was not good. We were probably off to ourselves doing our thing, and they didn't like it.
Well, that's pretty much right. While many of us were living in those camps, families of the 3rd Artillery, which is a black unit that had been stationed there started, they built cabins and shanties and shacks. They settled beyond the city limits near Fort Pickering, near what was called South Memphis. Many of their families moved to the same area. Unique among the states because of the long-term military occupation during the war, Tennessee created a kind of de facto black code, which depended on the complicity of police, lawyers, judges, jailers, etc. Slaveholders of Tennessee and the Memphis area struggled with a labor shortage due to slaves escaping to freedom behind Union lines, and they could no longer rely on profits from their forced labor. White people resented and were alarmed at the many freedmen at large in Memphis and urged the military to force black people to work. The military took into custody black people classified as vagrants and forced them to accept labor contracts on plantations. Any comments?
Yeah, it's a complete part of the tyranny that was taking place at the time, and it's the precursor to prison and prisoner leasing. Yeah, by the so-called good guys.
Yeah, the good guys in white. Charlie Newman says Ernest Perry was 1863. He said EP. I think he's referring to the Emancipation Proclamation.
Right.
Appreciate that clarification.
Yes, much appreciation.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So if that was well said too. Let's see. Yeah. So, what ethnic group would you say was our biggest adversaries?
Irish.
Facts. And those are the ones who became cops and were the violent cops all over. So they,
they were called the white N-word. So
yeah, I bet you they were the ones that were eventually became the overseers.
Probably in a lot of cases.
Because your everyday, okay, let's just say you're pink and you're a slave owner and you got a family, and you may or may not want your son or daughters to be exhibiting that type of violence. You may at some point came to realize, man, this shit we're doing, there's no coming back from. Do you know what I'm saying? We're creating monsters. So we need to find some others to do it. And we can't really trust the black ones to do it. So let's get those white N-words, as you just said, those patties or, other immigrants to do it. Yeah. 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 Who were
Someone
just as
that
uneducated.
was just slightly above a slave.
In their mind. Yeah, in their mind. In their mind, they were slightly above. In my mind, they were way below. But you're saying on the economic scale. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as on the plantation scale, like.
Right. On the societal scale. Right.
Yeah.
Just the next step up. You just keep your knee on their neck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well said. The Irish residents, so prior to the war, Irish immigrants had constituted a major wave of newcomers to the city. Ethnic Irish made up 9.9% of the population in 1850, when there were 8,841 people in the city. The population expanded at a rapid rate by 1860 to 22,623, and the Irish constituted 23.2%. They encountered considerable discrimination, like you said, but by 1860 they occupied most positions in the police force and had gained many elected and patronage positions in city government, including the mayor's office. Anything you want to add there? Or I can keep going.
Yeah, well, it happened in a lot of cities. Eventually happened in Chicago too. So I don't know.
York.
I don't know if it was about that time or whatever, but yeah, eventually it happens in a bunch of cities. You know what I mean? And for the most part, our relationship with Irish is stimulus at best, because there's a
History.
lot of history, like where they attack any
Yes.
of us that step ground in their neighborhood.
Yes.
So,
And then they running around with badges and guns.
Yeah, that's
and we know that overseer came from the overseer, and then they just said, "Hey, we can be cops and give them badges."
overseer, officer.
Yeah.
Boy, KRS.
Yeah. All right. Now, the Irish also competed with free black people for lower class jobs rejected by white people, contributing to animosity between the two groups. Similar animosity between working class white people, including Irish immigrants, and free black people competing for jobs were among the causes of acts of violence in the North, also including the 1863 New York City draft riots. Most of the Irish had arrived beginning mid-century, which we covered. That was part one. We covered the New York draft riots, you guys. Most of the Irish had arrived beginning mid-century since the Great Famine, the Irish potato famine, which I learned about in school for some fucking reason, of the 1840s. Many settled in South Memphis, a new and ethnically diverse neighborhood constructed on two bayous. South Memphis was home mostly to families of craftsmen and semi-skilled workers. When the Army occupied Memphis, they took over nearby Fort Pickering as a base of operations. The Freedmen's Bureau also set up an office in the area. Black refugee settlement was concentrated further to the south and outside of city limits. In the early years of occupation, the Union Army permitted civil government while prohibiting known Confederate veterans from taking office. Because of this, many ethnic Irish gained office during this period. General Washburn dissolved the city government in July 1864, but it was restored after the end of military occupation in July 1865. All right, so I see what they did. So rather than let the darkies, take control of all these political places, and it wasn't just the Southerners. It had to have been the people who were controlled, which would have been the Union Army, the North, the Yankees, who allowed this to take place.
Yeah, well, I know everybody think Tory's like, a lot of people that were in the North still had slaves.
Yeah.
And they were melanated people. All of them slaveholders were not so-called white people. I mean, white was a status more than a color then.
Okay, so you're saying black people had slaves?
Yes. Saying some of the founding fathers were so-called melanated people. They were not so-called white people.
Right.
They were from Europe and considered themselves different from.
Well, there was a lot of business too. If you're in the North and you're running a textile business, you needed that cotton and you needed it cheap. You didn't mind what it took to get it cheap. So if they had cheap labor and you get the prices cheap, everybody was profiting off of slavery. And then I would like to imagine that, if the blacks had slaves, you're saying that northern blacks owned slaves in the South?
Northern blacks owned slaves in the North, and they weren't freed from the Emancipation Proclamation.
Okay.
And Southern melanated people owned slaves in the South. I mean, they came from somewhere else, so they didn't consider.
Where you getting your news? You getting your news from you getting your history from the KKK?
Well, no, I'm getting it from it's a whole lot of information. We I'm researching and looking back in books that were written before history was written, like what they wrote, like what the people who came here from a long time ago, what they said, and what some of the founding fathers have said about themselves in their own narratives. and how they describe themselves. And it's,
but yeah, I'm not talking about the black founding fathers. I'm talking about there was a lot of people passing for white too.
That's true. They weren't called freedmen though. They were, I'm talking about these freedmen, these lot of American Indian is what they called them. Before they forced them to the reservations, they were free to walk around, and they were us, because they were me, because that's what my family is, 100%. So
your family owned slaves?
No, they were free people. That's all.
But potentially they owned slaves.
Potentially they could have, on my father's side, but I haven't researched that.
It's a slippery slope. I would think that the maybe their type of slavery was different. Maybe the ambition of it was different. Maybe they weren't raping the kids.
Right. Maybe
they weren't hanging them. Maybe
treating them well.
Right.
Running it like a business instead of slavery.
Right. Maybe it was indentured servitude, and then they wrote them their freedom after X amount of time and things of this nature. But again, I haven't went down that rabbit hole too much, because I keep my focus on these pink people in chattel slavery. That's what I keep my focus on. I don't want to be distracted talking about black slaves, because I just feel like that gives these jackasses talking points, because when I talk with a lot of these jackasses, that's what they utter out of their mouth. Well, black people own slaves too, and I'm talking about when I'm talking to these Klansmen.
Yeah,
and so that's what
these black people, so-called black people, were really white people. Is what I'm saying. Their whole status was that they were white people. Especially the largest of them would do. I haven't read anything about how he treated his slaves or whatever. I don't know that part, but it's a very wealthy dude that.
All right, well, you got to put together a show. We'll do a show on that, the black slave owners.
I don't really want to do a show on it, but it needs to be, known as a part of this whole thing, that it wasn't about race, it was about status. So they were considered white people. So the ones that were completely down with the shit, so they were melanated, but they were still white people as far as their status.
Gotcha. All right, you heard it right here. Okay, let me see here. Figure out where we was. All right. So we did the Irish was our. All right. So now we're at what literally led up to the riot. What was the
excuse?
Straw that. yeah. The straw that broke the camel's back, or the crescendo, as Brother Newman or Raynar would say. So the Daily Avalanche, we talk about on this show quite frequently how white folks use, it's been mentioned, the judge. It was even in this history. They use the judges, the court system, the law enforcement. They use corporations, and they weaponize the media. All of those are just different, different forks to the tongue. And they weaponize all of that. So the Daily Avalanche, that was one of the local papers, they began to exacerbate the tensions towards black people, as well as against the federal Reconstruction efforts after the war. The report by the Freedmen's Bureau after the riot described the long bitterness between black people and the low whites, aggravated by some recent incidents between them. Social tensions in the city were heightened when the U.S. Army used black Union Army soldiers to patrol Memphis. So apparently black Union Army soldiers were used to patrol Memphis. Through early 1866, there were numerous instances of threats and fighting between black soldiers going about the city and white Memphis policemen, who were 90% Irish immigrants. Numerous witnesses testified to the tensions between the ethnic groups. So, allegedly, you got black soldiers going through the city, and then the cops are Irish, and so they were having skirmishes. Any comments on that, Self?
Yeah, I guarantee it was one-sided, and if there was, the attack was from one side. Now, somebody might have been protecting themselves, but I really don't think those soldiers would, even provoke it.
I know what you're saying, where they said it fights between them. Right. They're making it, because, it takes two to fight. They're making it sound like, that it was just, I know what you're saying. Yeah. Those Irish were provoking them, and they were defending themselves.
Yes.
And then it's been labeled fights. Right.
Skirmishes,
right.
even.
Yeah. All right. But they were getting attacked. It was crimes being committed against them, assaults.
Absolutely.
All right. So officials of the Freedmen's Bureau reported that police arrested black soldiers for minor offenses, usually treated them brutally in contrast to their treatment of white suspects. One historian, sound familiar? Shit's still going on today. One historian described the composition of the police force as being like taking a troop of lions to guard a herd of cattle. Police were used to interacting with black people under Tennessee's slave laws and resented seeing armed black men in uniform. Comments?
It's hatred. Like seeing us do well for some reason hurt their spirit.
I'd liken it too, Self. Yeah, it is hatred. But if you can imagine, let's just say we're in a fraternity and let's just say we didn't like white people. And then you got white people, they've been your pledges for 3 years while you're in school. Then your fourth year, they walking around like brothers. You're trying to make a point. You mean to tell me we're not supposed to do this anymore? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're saying. Slap in the face is a excellent metaphor.
Yeah, I mean, if you think hard about it, they were saying that they were policing during the slave laws, which is what we were saying, that these Irish were probably the same overseers. So they were doing the policing probably when they started coming over here in the 1850s, doing the grunt work, the dirty work, all the evil shit on behalf of the orders they were getting. I'm sure some stuff wasn't ordered, and I bet they were doing a lot of the rape. And they're all white at the end of the day to me. You can call them Irish and German and this and that. You know what I'm saying? To me, they're all white. But
pink.
So,
but, I said pink.
Yeah.
But yeah. So so-called white.
Yeah. When they're carrying on like that, you're pink. And so, that seems like that was the issue. Like they couldn't cut it off. All of the violence they were able to do, you know, and the rape and the pillage that they've been doing, you know. And then when they said, no, you can't do it anymore. Where were they during the Revolutionary War, during the Civil War? Where were they? You know what I mean?
In Ireland.
Or cowering somewhere, right?
No, they were in Ireland. They weren't. I don't think they were here. They weren't here.
Well, they said they started coming like 1850s.
Right. So Revolutionary War, they weren't here.
Well, didn't the Emancipation Proclamation happen in 1863? They fought the war before that.
I thought you said I thought you said the Civil War.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was way before.
Civil War. First, I said the Revolutionary War, and then I said the Civil War. The Civil War.
Revolutionary War is what I was talking about. Period. Right.
Right.
And then you switch to Civil War.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So
they probably came here because of the
ability to beat slaves.
Civil War,
and they had
the Civil War, because they needed more pink people.
To get ready for the war. Yeah, they probably knew it was coming. Yeah. And they were over there starving, supposedly. They had that famine going on. I'd have to check the year, but all right. So all right. Police sometimes violently intervened in black gatherings, and on one occasion, black party stuff, they violently intervened. This shit's been going on. You just breaking up black parties.
Man.
This shit still ain't stopped.
No.
Okay, so police violently intervened in black gatherings and on one occasion attempted to arrest a group of women on grounds of prostitution. They were married to the soldiers at the gathering. The soldiers prevented their arrest and an armed standoff ensued. The police shoved and beat black people in the street for the social crime of insolence. What the hell is insolence?
Not doing what the hell I tell you to do.
Wow. Like a kid. But those days were over.
No. Those days all into the 1960s. They were still calling black people boys and all of that, and talking to them like a child and all of that. So you know for sure they goddamn it. You're a monkey.
That is true.
You're a monkey, dude. You know, there's their attitude. Like,
yeah, but the soldiers are like, I was just whacking y'all. What are you talking about?
And I whack you now. That's why it was a standoff.
Right.
And they went their way. And they
lucky, that's what I'm saying.
They lucky that there was some discipline by them soldiers.
Like the police shouldn't even had powers. The North was supposed to take all police powers and everything. How do you have a what's the word? Treason. How do you have an act of treason levied against your country, your nation? You go down there, burn stuff up, destroy it, fight and die, and then you let the treasonous order continue to have a government and police force.
That's exactly what happened. It might initially went away.
As soon as that next president got in,
yeah. I mean, as soon as because Johnson was, back then he wasn't on the same ticket with you. Who got the second most votes?
So you saying as soon as they backdoored Nixon? That always smelled funny to me. What do you mean he was at a thing and the guy just walked up there and shot him in his head and ran out?
Yeah.
There's no security for this motherfucker?
Right.
After a war?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. No, it was supposed to be security there, and he was all with it. You know, I'm just saying.
Yes.
Like, as soon as that happened, because there were like a few people who got like 40 acres and a mule under that thing that at Lincoln Road. But as soon as Johnson got in, he said, "Oh, hell no."
Reversed it all.
Stopped it. And then that's when he brought all them people and gave all that land across the country to the immigrants.
Yeah. All right. So we're coming up on halftime, but the day before the riot itself, rumors spread among the white community. This is what they do, and black people, you got to wake up. They'll start spreading the rumor and they'll put it in their papers that black people were planning some type of organized revenge for such incidents, but they couldn't stop January 6th with their rumors. Trouble was anticipated after most black Union troops, the 3rd United States Colored Heavy Artillery Regiment, were mustered out of the Army on April 30th, 1866. So after they used us to win their war, they kicked us out of the Army. The former soldiers had to remain in the city for several days while they waited to receive their discharge pay. The Army took back their weapons, but some of the men had gained the private ones. They passed the time by walking around town, drinking, and celebrating. This is the way they're characterizing this. And just walking around town, drinking and celebrating. On the afternoon of April 30th, a street fight broke out between a group of 3 black soldiers and 4 Irish policemen. After taunting on both sides and a physical collision, a police officer hit a soldier in the head with his firearm hard enough to break his weapon. After more fighting, the 2 groups went their separate ways. News of the incident began to spread across town. Comments?
Sounds like trash, hogwash, BS. That's what that sounds like. It probably went more like police walks up on soldiers. Police smash soldier in the head, breaks his weapon. A fight ensues. Police get their butts whooped. Weapons taken. Group separates and go their separate ways.
And the Army kicked us out, took the weapons that they could, that they knew about. And I think it had to be because they were turning their back. They never planned that. This is always a plan. In other words, I'm government property if I'm in your army. And, it comes down to you can't be allowing these people to be doing this stuff to people wearing your uniform. It's just not a good look all the way around. All right, well, let's kick their ass out and take their guns. Wow. And then the next war comes up. We need you. Hey, we need you.
Please, because
we can get in our ass whooped.
Ain't
we scared of the Germans.
Ain't no way we could do this without you.
Yeah. We made our boys soft, and the other ones too fucked up in the head.
Man, this place is a mind fuck.
It is. We're gonna take that brief one. Self, handle your business.
Tab time. Yo, thank y'all for being here. It's been a blessing to co-host this show. And today, the Self Luv Show is dealing with Pink Terror, Part 2, Memphis. And we've had a good time so far, and we spit a lot of facts. And truth is, we'll be right back. We got a few great videos for you to check out. And we'll be back to explore more.
It's halftime. All right, and so you guys tune in on Wednesday, June 22nd, right here on the Self Luv Show on TATN. We've got Accumulating Wealth 102. How is it? How can it be applicable to like everyday life? Like, do you think the compounding effect is only that? Do you think it only works with money and interest, or do you think it works, in a holistic way as well? Where you're gonna keep getting benefit.
So yeah, I mean the compound effect is just continuing to build on top of what's already there, right? And so for me, really quick, I've talked about kind of my real estate piece and real estate business. When I first started in real estate back in '99, right? That's when I bought my first building. I literally for the next 8 years learn from trial and error, right? The worst way to learn in real estate, right? It's through trial and error, etc. But it did give me experience, and I did learn a boatload.
This one's called Empire Building, and that's where our panel is going to get into ways to suggest ways to put your money out there.
I really believe in just building those blocks. And that is absolutely what takes place, because as you learn, you're able to provide more context. And that's the difference between just knowing something and having experience. That context, you're able to use that, and that helps compound, that makes the information more accessible, more usable. Absolutely agree with everything KB just said. Yeah.
We always suggest here on the Self Luv Show, you go to a professional financial advisor, make your own decisions out there, blah, 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 blah. We're not going to be held responsible for anybody losing money in any investments. And anytime you invest, there's a risk that you can what, Self?
Not take.
But Cannon, you got anything to add to that on the compounding effect?
So think about it this way. You wake up, you get a cup of coffee, you spill it all over yourself. Now you're pissed. You get in your car, somebody cuts you off. You're even more pissed. Right? You get to the office and you can't find your key. Now you're really pissed. That compound effect really has an impact on what your day is like that day, right? Because you had a crappy day that day. Or you wake up and you go to the coffee shop and you give great energy and you get it back. And that seems to follow you in every day. Things fall into place. Life is about people, truth be told, and business is about people. And the energy that you bring to the table in many instances is going to manifest itself. And so the compounding of that in a holistic way, when you ask about a holistic way, I think is really rooted in how we choose to look at life. Are you going to look over your left shoulder or are you going to look over your right? You can't do both at the same time.
Yes. Anytime you invest, you can lose everything.
Yeah, so you cannot take that risk.
Right.
Or you can get involved with it. You can or you're not.
Right. Just know that you can lose. But that's not what we're about here. And we're talking about how to build your money and how to make sure that if and when you do lose, you don't lose your shirt. You don't lose everything. Diversify and things of this nature. Don't give all your money to one slick talking Ivy League person.
Hey bros, what's going on? This is Cotton. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because subscribing makes you feel good.
Do you still have them?
But our steps have
Ancestrally, we are descendants of people who have walked
on this land for thousands
of years. And it is only in the last 500 years that it has become dangerous for us because of these borders that have been built.
Yes, sir. We're back.
No food in the house, I know what that feels like. Riding the bus, going to work, now I know you feel trite. This life ain't meant for us to be stressed.
Little technical difficulties out there, a little bitty wavy. But we're back. We're talking about Pink Terror, and we're breaking down the Memphis massacre in May 1866. And we went a lot into Memphis, but we're going to go into New Orleans and another small town that we want to expose y'all to. And we're going to get to it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that video was last week's video. Like, I think you're on the wrong playlist.
Wow.
It's supposed to have been a Trisha Mann video. So I don't know what happened. That probably led to the confusion. At least that's what I show on mine. How could you be on last week's? It don't even exist.
I don't know. And I thought I refreshed when you said something.
I mean, you played the promo, Pink Terror. I don't know. All right, second half here, y'all. Second half. Big ups, Trife Mac. All right, so we're gonna jump into the second half as we stay on this topic, which is the Pink Terror, the massacre in Memphis, Tennessee, in May 1866. We were talking about, what kicked it off. And now we're going to get into, prior to kicking it off, now we're going to get into what literally kicked it off. So, let's see here. All right, so here's what happened. On we had some chatter in the chat, too. Charlie Newman said his fourth grandfather was Irish. Great-grandfather or something. And he said they used to get into it with the Irish boys in high school.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's a little rite of passage for them to get their ass whooped. Somebody told them they could fight.
Yeah, we had that at Leo too. Like, there was some, real talk.
They drink a few beers. And
they didn't even have to drink beers. They would talk crazy in class, and then, afterwards it'd be a different story.
Just be talking crap in class, huh?
Yeah, from Bridgeport.
Yep. They done took many L's. And the only way they can get us is if we ever got caught in their neighborhood and there was like 20 of them and 3-4 of us, and they got bats and rocks and bricks and bottles and shit. Good times, though. Those are some good times. All right. So, so now we're going to go to Pink Terror. What literally kicked it off, the conflict with the black soldiers. On May 1, 1866, a large group of black soldiers, women and children gathered in a public space, forming an impromptu street party. Street party, sound familiar? The street takeover stuff?
Yes, sir.
At about 4 p.m., City Recorder John Creighton ordered 4 police officers to break up the group. The police obeyed, although the area was outside their jurisdiction, and Creighton was outside his chain of command. Tension escalated as the soldiers refused to disperse. The 4 officers, being outnumbered, retreated and called for reinforcements. The soldiers gave chase, and gunfire broke out. See how they writing? Gunfire broke out. The
They
white,
gave chase. You know.
yeah, gave chase, and gunfire broke out. Didn't say the soldiers chased them and started shooting at them. The gunfire that broke out was the cops, because it says
And facts, and they didn't give chase. They give the alternative.
correct, softening it up. And then it says Officer Stevens, they got his name, accidentally Plaxico burrowed herself. So this female cat, allegedly, accidentally shot himself in the leg while drawing his firearm. His injury was blamed on the soldiers. That served as a rallying cry. A rallying call. I don't even think he accidentally shot himself. One of the other white boys shot him as a false flag. You know, gave him friendly fire as a false flag. But his injury was blamed on the soldiers. It served as a rallying cause for police reinforcements and other participants in the riot. The conflict escalated, and Officer Finn was shot and killed on Avery Street, and I bet that was friendly fire too. Any comments?
Yeah, well, I don't know about the second guy, but the first guy definitely was friendly fire. I don't know, man. You attack soldiers and your police, you're probably not equipped to deal with soldiers in most cases.
Hardened soldiers that just fought a tough war.
Yes.
Survived, yeah.
So
how many kills they potentially had? They were in the artillery, heavy artillery unit.
Yeah, so,
and what,
you know.
And what kind of post-traumatic syndrome stress they were dealing with, not to mention the slavery trauma.
Yeah, and already allowed to, you know, unalive pink people.
Right.
You know, so.
Now, I'm saying, though, that O'Neal, the one who got murdered, the cop who got murdered, friendly fire being, sometimes you got somebody in a group saying, hey, don't do that. You know, don't shoot at that guy. You know what I'm trying to say? Hey, that's not our orders. You know, and then, yeah, they whack them, you know, and use them as a hero. You know, drag his body back to town and say, look what the Moolies did to him.
Yeah.
Potentially. You know, it's just my theory.
Yeah, could be. That's, you know, and my theory is he overstepped his bounds that they were doing out there, and he got moited in the crossfire.
Yeah. That is just as possible. Now, yep, so they say the conflict escalated and Finn was shot and killed on Avery Street. Creighton and O'Neal left the scene, so somehow they left to report that the two police officers had been shot. A force of city police and angry white residents assembled to engage the black soldiers. Several soldiers were shot and killed early in the evening. Several, you know, put numbers. See how they got all the details with Flynn and,
yeah,
you know, and shot in the leg, and this is his name. You know what I'm talking about, Self? And this one was shot. They don't have none of the soldiers' names.
No.
Should be records of that. Including some of who were fleeing and wounded and one who was already under arrest. General George Stoneman was asked to use military force to restore order. Now, this is your Yankee general. He declined and suggested that Sheriff Winters create a posse. Stoneman authorized Captain Arthur W. Allen to deploy 2 units of soldiers from Fort Pickering. They patrolled Memphis from about 6 to 10 or 11 p.m., by which time most of the black soldiers had retired. Stoneman also ordered all black soldiers returning to Fort Pickering to be disarmed and kept on the base. Comments?
Wow. I thought they kicked them all out when they got back. So what is it? Did they kick them all out?
And they were disarmed already too. Well,
right.
Yeah, remember they took the gun.
They had their own private guns though. But I thought they said that they kicked them all out. Where these other ones come from? Where these mystery ones come from? That, or is it I'm misunderstanding and those are all pink people?
Well, maybe they had nowhere else to go, and they returned back to the fort, for fear of being killed. And then the general ordered all of them to be disarmed and kept on the base.
Okay. That seems still like his story, but
Yeah.
so we can go by for this point, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. Okay. And then, so now, in case y'all didn't know, we're discussing the Pink Massacre, Memphis, Tennessee, 1866. So if there was some mob violence, so after these soldiers, but you're right, they keep referring to them as soldiers, Self. So, finding no soldiers in the late evening, the white mob that had formed turned to attack. See, this is a plan. We're going to hold all them held at the base so that they can go out and defend themselves. Finding no soldiers in the late evening, the white mob that had formed turned to attack various black homes in the area, looting and assaulting the people they found there. So they got the names of these cops, but they don't have the names of these homes so these people can get reparations. They attacked houses, schools, and churches, burning many, as well as indiscriminately attacking black residents, killing many. Some died when the mob forced them to stay in their burning homes. These activities resumed on the morning of May 2nd and continued for a full day. Police and firefighters made up 1/3 of the mob. I'm going to repeat that. These are your heroes, your first responders. Police and firefighters made up 1/3 of the mob. Self Love and I have been telling you guys that the police and overseers and the firefighters are gangs. Okay. So 24% of the mob was police and 10% was firefighters. They were joined by small business owners, Self. It's 28%. This is my theory. The businesses, the corporations, all of them working in cahoots. Okay. Clerks, 10%. Artisans, 10%. And city officials, 4.5%. These are the mob. John Pendergast, they got his name, and his sons, Michael and Patrick, reportedly played a key role in organizing the violence and used their grocery store at South Street and Causey Street as a base of operations. One black woman, we don't know her name, reported that Pendergast told her, "I am the man that fetched this mob out here, and they will do just what I tell them." Thoughts? Comments?
Well, it's interesting that you laid it out on a platter. They talk about the people that did the crime, but not who they did it to.
Mm-hmm.
Purposefully. But if this is you, you know what to do. We got a whole lot to get through because so many of us own land that we won't even know about. We got to look into it because stuff like this change land ownership when they murder people and take their whole farm.
Yeah, and it sets our communities back. So it goes into the Freedmen's Schoolhouse was burned. So, why don't we educate ourselves? Why don't we do this and that? They know what it takes to build and destroy a community, the Pinks.
And so our school systems were far superior to any system that they put in place because John D. Rockefeller, who is the same individual that put a whole lot of influence over the medical,
you know, the educational and the medical, and he got rid of the naturopaths and the chiropractors and brought in this big pharma.
Facts. Yep, our schools are way better, and they burned them down. And after the first day, so as General Stallman later said, the black people did not act aggressively in the riot and struggled to survive. At the site of the initial incident, city recorder John Creighton incited a white crowd to arm and to go kill the black people and drive them from the city. Rumors of an armed rebellion of Memphis black residents were spread by local white officials and rabble-rousers. Memphis Mayor John Park was suspiciously absent, said to be intoxicated. General Runkle, head of the Freedmen's Bureau, had insufficient forces to help. General George Stallman, the commander of the federal occupation troops in Memphis, was indecisive in trying to suppress the early stages of the rioting. His inaction resulted in an increase in the scale of the damages. He declared martial law on the afternoon of May 3rd. Remember, it started on the 1st, and restored order by force. Now, they don't say what he did, how many they killed, how many was arrested. Tennessee Attorney General William Wallace deputized to lead a posse of 40 men, allegedly encouraged them to kill and burn. In total, 46 black and 2 white people were killed. One wounded himself, and the other was apparently killed by other white people. That's what I'm telling you, even with that cop. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm telling you, man. They just be lying.
Yeah, because 46, I think, is a small, minuscule number, because they locked away all the soldiers. That's why they rampaged and went through, killed women and children.
Yes.
That's what they did.
Got drunk, got them in a drunken rage, raped, killed, burned people up, made them stay in their house, you know, as the house is burning down.
And, I mean, it's not my opinion or whatever, but there are photos that for a long time of lynchings and burnings and all that, and people smiling like it's a family photo or a great game going on.
Like it's a pig roasting.
Yeah. And it is still going on.
Facts. Yeah.
So many of our women and children, and I mean, get snatched in traffic, and it's something we have to all take a personal look at and see what you can do to make a difference.
Facts. Treat our women and kids, treat them with respect, and teach them self-defense. All right, 75 persons injured, mostly black. That number seems small. Over 100 robbed, seems small. 5 black women reported being raped and testified to the subsequent congressional hearing committee. And 91 homes burned. 89 were owned by black people or held by black people. One held by a white and one by an interracial couple.
Yeah.
4 black churches, and 12 total black schools were burned to the ground.
Absolutely.
They got a thing for our churches. They like to go in there and shoot it up, blow it up, burn it down.
I mean, if they can attack your God, their God is greater than your God, then at least they are pink.
And it's a soft target. It's a soft target for those female cats too.
Extremely soft target.
Yeah, you're not in there with your gun normally when you're praying. You got your family and your kids in there, you know, your Bible. Yeah.
And when you're grocery shopping too. So
right.
Soft targets.
Schools, nothing but kids. They're not in there straight.
Oh man. Thank God, the creator of all. God bless our path. Self Love Show loves you.
Facts. All right. Modern estimates, listen to this BS, place property losses at over $100,000, including pay taken from black veterans by the police in the first encounters. Confederate veteran Ben Dennis was killed on May 3rd for conversing with a black friend in a bar. The results showed that the mob focuses violence against the homes and wives of black soldiers.
Yeah, well,
hold the soldiers, lock the soldiers up,
and then attack them, their
and
family.
rape their wives and kill their families.
These are
female cats.
The acts of devils.
Yeah.
Can we say
Female
devil on?
Yeah, you sure can
on YouTube, because I don't know these days, but those
I
are.
see why you can't say devil.
Devils.
I hear a lot of these Southern Christian ministers doing their podcasts on YouTube. They're saying
And white devils, they are. It's what they are. They're white devils. So-called
pink devils. All right.
Pink devils.
Here we go. They said arson was the most common crime committed. The mob singled out certain households while sparing others. I bet those are the households with money and the books, the people who could read and serve some sort of leadership.
Had the white status.
Yeah, but according to this, it says they singled them out due to the mob singled out certain they spared others due to the perceived subservience of the occupants, the fear or the selling out. He lives here, and this is where the guns are. Yeah,
he's good. He's good. He had the white status.
He don't cause no trouble.
Right.
He don't cause no trouble. So.
White status.
Yeah. He don't cause no trouble. So. They don't cause trouble. So. But them soldiers over there, since they came back, they think they some bad
man.
They got all the prettiest women.
Man. They make the baddest stuff over there, and this everything's coming from there, and they doing well. So we got to give them hell.
And I heard they got guns all up and down that basement.
Better get them while them soldiers locked up, because if we don't, there's gonna be problems, sir. And these are the pink people.
All right, so that was the riot, man. God bless the dead. All of them have passed on now, but the victims, and God bless them.
Facts. We've been through a whole lot.
Man.
They
So
changed our land into their land.
Over and over and over again.
And it's, the paper genocide.
Listen to the aftermath, Self. The Daily Avalanche, this fucking paper, praised Stoneman for his actions during the events, commenting in an editorial, he has acted upon the idea that if troops are necessary here to protect the rights of the black people, white troops can do this with less offense to our people than black ones. He knows the wants of this country and sees that the Negro can do the country more good in the cotton field than in the camp. The Avalanche also professed its faith that the violence would restore the social order. The chief source of all trouble being removed, we may confidently expect the restoration of the old order of things. The Negro population will now do their duty. Negro men and Negro women are suddenly looking for work on country farms. Thank heavens the white race are once more rulers in Memphis. So you go there, you destroy all their businesses and everything they've acquired, and now they're looking for work.
Yeah, that's a lot of hogwash, and I think they try to reiterate the same thing with George Floyd. And I think it's gone in the wrong direction for them.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if somebody burns down a whole town, its infrastructure, and the way it supports itself, people are naturally going to be looking for work. They got to feed themselves and their families. You haven't restored an order. It shows you how ignorant they are. You know, people are going to do what's necessary to feed their families and build things back up. Doesn't necessarily mean that they went back to work for them out of fear or out of subservience. It just means that you burn down every fucking thing. You kill my husband. I got to get to work and feed these 4, 5, 6 kids here.
For them, they feel like they restored that order. That's, you know, I mean, that's what it is. They had to come back and work for them. That's what, and I
but they're suggesting it was out of fear, out of intimidation.
Yeah. I'm suggesting that it didn't happen like that at all. I don't know what happened with them, but most of our people knew how to live off the land. So if they did whatever the fuck they did, they thought they did, they could restore it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
You're saying that it wasn't nobody going back looking for them jobs.
I didn't say none of them. I'm just saying that's their narrative. And their narrative is history. His story is their narrative, unless it's one of us that wrote it. And most of the history we get is his story, and it's, you know, a fabrication. It's a, you know.
So what are you saying happened to the? What you saying? It just rebuilt right there? Or?
I'm saying some went and hid or whatever, and then they rebuilt. They come from being miracle makers, because these people that came here had no idea how to do anything on farm on this land or make any of the shit they needed. You know, we were the people that taught them, and they reversed that on us, and then they paper genocided us. But that's a whole different, you know, story. And we need to probably have a show on that, because.
All right. Well, I mean, no, I feel you. Because, you know, the newspaper's been proven to be a lie, especially the Avalanche. This paper is awful. Okay. No criminal proceedings took place against the instigators or perpetrators of the Memphis riots. 0. The United States Attorney General James Speed ruled that judicial actions associated with the riots fell under state jurisdiction, but state and local officials refused to take action, and no grand jury was ever invoked.
All Irish.
Yeah.
Every person involved in the cover up or swept under the rug. Oh, bygones be bygones. Yeah, we are, you know, we SA'd your people, and we did all this, and we killed some people and all that, but we're better than you, basically, is what I get from the hostile. Because hold on, there are some Irish people that I really are good people and get down with, but we're talking about a certain sector, and the Irish people I'm talking about that are good, we'll also talk about them. So.
And these ain't, and it wasn't just all Irish. The Irish had taken over most of but they were just they were just the puppets in place. It was just everyday white people too. It wasn't just the poor Irish that was a part of this. Make that clear. That was a part of this riot, and that was a part of the cover up. No, it was the powers that be. You know,
It was complete control of that part.
Correct. The Irish was just doing what they were in place to do. And enjoying it. Now,
that part.
Although criticized at the time for his inaction, General Stoneman was investigated and ultimately exonerated by a congressional committee. He said he was reluctant initially to intervene, as the people of Memphis had said they could police themselves. He needed direct communication and a request from the mayor and council. On May 3rd, when they asked for his support in putting together a posse, he told them he would not permit that. He imposed martial law, refused to allow groups to assemble, and suppressed the riot. Stoneman moved to California, where he was later rewarded by being elected as governor, serving from 1883 to 1887. So the general, who was there to stop this shit, let it happen and said he was waiting on. Yes, they all got a check, and
Man, don't that sound like, damn? Don't that sound like what they said on January 6th? Wow.
Yeah, it's history repeating itself.
Wow.
Yes. They pulling out the old plays from the old playbook. So this avalanche is Fox News. Batman, just writing whatever the fuck, rallying up the trash.
Putting it all out there. Yeah.
Rallying up.
Go.
Inflaming the trash. Yeah. I can smell burning
Just
trash.
get it out there. I can go there. They had the printing press.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And man, more impactful. Not as immediate. It was more impactful then, but this stuff now is just like, whew.
Yeah. They get you in that algorithm. So now, political effects of the outcome of the Memphis riot and a similar incident, the New Orleans massacre in 1866, which we're going to cover the next time. It'll be part 3. Was to increase support for radical Reconstruction. See, I think the whole thing was a false flag. Reports of the riot discredited President Andrew Johnson, who was from Tennessee and had been military governor of Tennessee under Lincoln. Johnson's program of presidential reconstruction was blocked, and the Congress moved towards radical Reconstruction. The radical Republicans swept the congressional elections of 1866, obtaining a veto-proof majority in Washington. Subsequently, they passed key pieces of legislation, such as the Reconstruction Act, the Enforcement Acts, and the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution, which guaranteed citizenship, equal protection of the laws, and due process to former slaves. The change in the political climate, catalyzed by the response to the race riots, ultimately enabled former slaves to obtain the full rights of citizenship. Comments?
Yeah. Citizenship is akin to slavery if you look up the word and do the etymology. And it put us back in the government in a position over us. And I will, cite everything that needs to be cited at some point, but definitely not right now. But this place where we at is a matrix, and we need to displace it from within the whole situation, not Nine appears to be stuck, so
I ain't stuck. I was listening to you.
I was done.
Oh, okay. All right. I was reading something.
Okay, because I'm like,
it's interesting. Yeah, I was going through the 14th Amendment. All persons born or naturalized in the U.S. and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the U.S. and of the state where they reside. No state shall make or enforce any laws which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the U.S., nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. There's the trick bag, due process of law. Nor
and
deny
they didn't say nothing about rights. They said
privileges.
privileges.
Right. Nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. Representative shall be apportioned, blah, blah, blah. That's section 2. No person shall be a senator. You know, and as I was reading it, there should have been no need for the amendment that gave us the right to vote, because it should have been assumed into the 14th Amendment.
Well, the 14th Amendment is not even constitutional, and there's a Supreme Court ruling that says it's not, because it was not they didn't have enough people there to make it so. And they're saying, and it's through Andrew Johnson. It's a lot of madness in his story.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just saying, though, if they said we were citizens in the 14th, then that would have encompassed the right to vote. But somehow it didn't.
Unless citizen don't mean what you think it mean. And they still consider us
Well,
three.
I'm just reading what it says in section 1. I'm going by what it means in these words that I'm looking at here. All persons born or naturalized in the U.S. and subject.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying.
All right. What admiralty law, or you just reading from our plain English? Because that's written out, admiralty law. That's written in law of the sea.
Well, it says representatives shall be apportioned among the several states according to the respective. But when the right to vote at any election for the choice of electors for president and vice president of the U.S. All right, I'll get into it later. Representatives in Congress, the executive and judicial officers of the state, or the members is denied to any of the male inhabitants. Yeah, I'll have to break this down at some other time. Yeah, I hear you though. I mean, you know, let's see. All right, you guys, like, share, subscribe. We're just about done here. We're getting into the political aftermath, the results of it. Let's see here.
And hit the bell. Let everybody know what we're doing here, because it's important. If I do say so myself.
Yeah. Criticize, okay. All right, so The radical Republicans swept the congressional elections. They obtained a veto-proof majority in Washington. Subsequently, they passed key pieces of legislation. We said that. Citizenship. The change in the political climate catalyzed. It enabled former slaves to obtain full rights of citizenship, but it didn't. And that's the point I was making, because we didn't have the right to vote. And technically, we really still don't, or the privilege to vote. For the Tennessee Assembly, the riot highlighted the lack of state laws defining the status of freedmen. Many black people left Memphis permanently because of the hostile environment. The Freedmen's Bureau continued to struggle to protect its remaining residents. By 1870, the black population had declined by 1/4 from 1865 to about 15,000 out of a total population of more than 40,000. The black community continued to resist. On May 22, 1826, dock workers at the river held a strike and marched for higher wages. All strikers were arrested. Over the summer, the Black Sons of Ham, I gotta look them up, it's a fraternal organization, held demonstrations for black suffrage. They gained it in the 19th century, but at the turn of the 20th century, Tennessee joined other southern states in creating barriers to voter registration and voting, effectively excluding most black people from the political system for more than 6 decades. The state legislature took over control of the city's police force. It passed a law that also overhauled the Memphis criminal punishment system, which went into effect on July 1, 1886. So we did get the right to vote, and I think the Voting Rights Act, what'd that do? That gave women the right to vote, or did that take away all those little trick bags that you got to know how to read and all this and that?
No, I believe it gave like landowners the right to vote, and women were not included in that. And still at that time, I believe that women and children were property, even white women and children, at least according to their color of law.
All right. All right. So we're doing Pink Terror, Memphis, May 1866. So as we see, a lot of times there's all the time, you got to look at the 5 W's: the who's, the what, the when, the where, the why. You got to look at the cause, the so-called cause, and then the outcome. What happened, who benefited, who profited at the end, and then if you can see who profited and who benefited at the end of the day, who came out on top, 9 times out of 10, that you're going to find the true root or the true foundation or the true cause of said riots or massacres.
Yeah, because they're, what history calls it is written from a slanted point of view. And it's never true. They say it's, one side, the other side, and it actually happened. History is their side. And some sort of delusion state of what happened.
Facts. Which is why we have to record our history up here, and we have to tell these stories to our children and our children's children, and that way they can hear the truth.
Facts. And we need to furthermore put them in other mediums, which is the reason for the Self Luv Show. Shameless plug.
I mean, that's facts. It'll be once everything is in the blockchain, it'd be super dope, because that can't be supposedly, believe 2 words that come out of their mouth. You know what I mean?
You know
And
how
I'm
I feel.
paranoid.
You already know. Can we say
So,
bullshit? Not
yeah,
sure anymore.
it's a compound word. So we got you guys. My call to action is to, fine tune your mind, your body, and your spirit. Get in touch with self. Learn self defense. Teach your family self defense. Purchase yourself a blickety blick legally.
Period.
Take lessons.
Lots of them. And lots of lessons. Lots of them and lots of lessons.
Yeah, be respectful. Maintain your poise. Be stoic. To quote the late great Malcolm X, if somebody put their hands on you or someone you love, you try your best. You try your best to bury their motherfucking ass.
Yeah, make sure they ain't putting a hand on nobody else.
Facts. All right, so unless you had some words to wrap it up, Self, we're gonna get the riddle solved out there.
Yeah, facts.
All right. So, all right. Let me go back to it. I gotta scroll up here. Okay. So the riddle was, or the dome teaser, before Mount Everest was discovered, what was the highest mountain in the world?
Mount Everest.
Yeah.
It was. Hey, if it's the tallest on the planet, which I know we might have to check because stuff changes, but if it's the tallest that we know of, it's always been the tallest that we know of.
Right.
Period.
Right. You're saying if you're accepting that premise as a given,
yes,
that it's the tallest, because we know there's some stuff underwater that's supposed to be 3 times the size, but they're saying above ground.
You know me, man. They think I'm crazy, but it's all come out at some point in time. That hey, it's more land out here, and I don't know if this is the tallest mountain. So,
I don't know if somebody think you're crazy. It's just where you're getting your news source. Just because you're getting it from another source doesn't make all that shit true either.
That's absolute facts, and I know that. And I'm saying, research I've done, and I say a lot of stuff, and they'd be like, oh.
Yeah, a lot of it is. I'm just saying, I look at it all with a grain of salt, because somebody put it all down on the book.
Yeah.
And the question is, what was their motivation, and how did I end up with it? You know what I'm saying? How did I end up with this information? Who's pushing this information out here, and why is it coming out now? Unless you got some
who when and how all the time. So you know what I mean. Yeah. I might speak out of turn, but it's gonna be some lessons learned, and they're gonna come.
Yeah, you dropping jewels, and But I told you I was going down rabbit holes some years ago, and the more you know, the more you know you don't know. That's the bottom line.
I feel that way. So if I'm saying something, I feel a certain way most of the time. So even though most people don't feel that way at that time,
Oh, yeah, I hear you. All right. And then, so self-love is right. Ding, ding, ding. Mount Everest, it just wasn't discovered yet. That's all. Yeah. That's it. So that's the key to the riddle. And then you guys, so for tomorrow, on Mouthpiece Included.
Oh, yeah.
We're unpacking the WWEs. We talked a lot about R&P today. Sexual assault.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're breaking down Vince McMahon. He's got a lot of R allegations.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we got R. Kelly up in the jail. We got Juice Lane Maxwell. You know, but they like to talk about Deshaun Watson, you know, getting a little massage and maybe a handy J. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? You know, they like to talk about him, but they sure don't talk about the Crafts, the Robert Crafts and the Dan Snyders and the Vince McMahons. You know, they don't talk about the billionaires, the Donald
Yeah.
Trumps.
Yeah, well, you know, they say they keep the economy going. That's how they keep the
Jobs.
the Goyim. That's how they keep the Goyim thinking.
They create jobs for the
Yeah,
Goyim.
he's all right. He could get a if he wants. I mean, come on.
He's making jobs.
He should be able to. Trump said that you could just grab her by the, you know, and it's all good.
And then he said they like it. I mean, that is that's the definition. That is the definition of a predator.
Facts.
We're going to talk about back on the yard, the conversation I had with somebody I love. I went on a whole diatribe about it. Oh. All right, let's move past that. And then, so then next week on the Self Luv Show, we'll let you know. We'll let you know we're working on something very magnanimous. And so enough of my yapping. I've been yapping. Got to go in there and check on the wife. So we're going to turn it over to this brother to my right, Brother Wordsmith's final words out there.
Wow. It's been a whole lot of killing for a whole lot of time. People that hate how we living, and they straight out of kind. Because we treated them as individuals until they felt like they were better. I don't even know what to say. Because there have been so many instances that's on display that I've personally witnessed. And they don't even know what it is to deal with this. And it's definitely something that has to be healed. Because every melanated that been to a Catholic school just feels. This displacement. For elevation, we gotta deal with it and come together and build our nation. Because all the things that they've done, we need to join together and bring some reparation, repair our nation, nigga, they face son. Retribution from the Creator. We're gonna continue to expose everybody to what they've done. CRT, that's just the basics. I'm gonna make it in a different way. That's how it is each and every day. Tory words.
Yes, sir. Words. in the beginning. There's a word. Yes, sir. All right. So y'all know we appreciate y'all, for being here. Y'all know how we close it out. And appreciate all your support. Make sure you look out for part 3. It's going to be New Orleans. I'm interested in that.
Yes, sir.
I'm really interested, and it's just crazy, Self, how they call us the killers.
Everything that they've called us has been projection. They're everything that they said we are.
Facts.
We taught them how to be civil, and they didn't take it. They didn't take the teaching.
Facts. Bullets are boomerangs.
Stand your ground.
Yes, sir. Murder. Murder is suicide.
Yeah, man. An eye for an eye.
Silence is violence.
If you see something, say something.
12, 12, fuck 12.
Skra.
Greed plus ego over fear. Slavery.
Charity plus humility times love is freedom.
Do not answer questions.
But you better question everything.
Fear is an illusion, y'all.
It's really only love, so you better,
Forgiveness and charity are the highest vibrations of that love.
So, do something charitable for a so-called enemy and end the beef.
Healthy people, heal thy people.
Because hurt people, man, they will mess you up, bro. They hurt people.
Hey, free the old man. Free Larry Hoover.
Free Chief Malik. Jeff Ford.
Free all the guys, man.
Yeah, man. Prison is slavery.
That's what they say.
Check the 13th Amendment.
Yo. Yes, sir. Yo, be like Yahusha and St. Peter. Know what's inside you and walk on water.
For sure. Man, let's move mountains.
Being the one is just like being in love.
Mountains.
No one can tell you.
Yes, sir. That one right there, I move right out of the way. All we need is the faith of a mustard seed, and for sure, the Self Love Show got way